Hello, my friends. Yesterday, after Trump's statement expressing hope that Putin would accept his terms and end the war, a response came from Russia's deputy foreign minister claiming that they wouldn't agree to the US conditions. Russia has rejected the US peace proposals for ending the war in Ukraine, calling them unacceptable. Moscow has even refused to consider American initiatives in their current form. According to Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Sergey Ryabkov, the US proposals don't address the causes of the conflict, which, according to the Kremlin, led to its escalation. He also noted that dialogue between Russia and Washington on this issue has completely stalled. However, there is no need to take statements from any ministers too seriously. Their words mean nothing, and everything will ultimately be decided in negotiations between Trump and Putin in the coming days. Meanwhile, Lavrov has stated that another meeting between Russia and the US is being prepared in Istanbul.
There was a meeting in Istanbul, and now a second one is being prepared. In the meantime, contacts continue via phone and video conferencing. I don't want to make predictions, but we are seeing progress and a willingness from our American partners to remove completely unacceptable obstacles, at least from a diplomatic standpoint, that hinder the work of diplomats in each other's capitals.
As we can see, Lavrov is making entirely different statements. For now, it's too early to talk about any concrete steps toward a ceasefire, and Lavrov stated that they had submitted a list of violations committed by Ukraine over the 30-day ceasefire period.
Vladislav Ivanovich Belousov spoke about how the moratorium, agreed upon at President Trump's proposal on March 18, is being observed. During a phone conversation between the presidents of Russia and the US, Belousov reported that the moratorium is not being upheld. Russia's energy facilities have been under attack this entire time, with perhaps only 1 or 2 day pauses. He listed all the targets hit by Ukrainian drones during this period, including last night. Meanwhile, the Russian army has been strictly following the moratorium, as ordered by the president during his call with Trump on March 18. He even mentioned that at that moment, 7 drones were flying toward targets in Ukraine but were destroyed by Russian air defenses and a patrolling aircraft. Since then, we have adhered to this agreement with President Trump 100%. The list of violations presented by Andriy Belousov at the Security Council meeting has been handed over to U.S. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz. I have sent this list to U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and we have also forwarded it to our representatives at the UN and OSCE. They will use concrete facts in their work to demonstrate the worth of the current Ukrainian government's word, if it can even be called a government.
We have fulfilled what we discussed with America. But what Russia agreed on with America they are not doing, and they keep violating it. We are the only ones suffering. Ukraine and the Ukrainian people are suffering today. That is why we are expecting serious sanctions from America, at the very least. If all sides fulfill their promises and pressure Russia with their commitments, we may achieve a just peace this year.
At this rate, a ceasefire is still a long way off. The last hope lies in the Trump Putin negotiations if no concrete decisions are made and Trump is forced to impose sanctions on Russia to bring them to the negotiation table, then it will be clear that the war will drag on even longer, since it's already evident that sanctions won't stop Putin. And late last night, the White House released a statement, once again expressing Trump's dissatisfaction and the possibility of new sanctions. Trump believes that Putin is stalling for time, and his administration is considering the aggressive application of sanctions, including targeting Russia's shadow fleet. A source familiar with the discussions told Fox News that new President Trump is disappointed with Putin's actions and believes Russia is slowing down negotiations for a comprehensive ceasefire. A path forward is being discussed. I've been informed that the level of sanctions enforcement is low. And official estimates put it at around 3 out of 10. And intercepting Russia's shadow fleet, which smuggles oil through the Baltic Sea, could be an easy pressure point. According to Fox, most of the fleet is already under sanctions, and 70% of Russia's illicit oil sales are conducted through this shadow fleet. As we can see, Trump still hasn't come up with anything that could truly stop Putin. Meanwhile, 50 US senators are threatening to impose a 500% tariff on countries purchasing Russian oil, gas, and uranium if Russia refuses to engage in peace talks. Additionally, reports indicate that in May, Trump may travel to Saudi Arabia, where he could meet with Putin. But as you understand, in a month, Putin could still destroy much more in Ukraine and seize even more territory. And I won't even get into the number of casualties. And ultimately, understanding that Trump may not meet with Putin for another month, and that there are no guarantees they will reach any agreement, the US has already stated that a ceasefire shouldn't be expected in the coming months. Senior officials in the Trump administration believe that a ceasefire in Ukraine is unlikely to be achieved in the next few months. Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. And now let's move on to the situation along the front lines, starting with the Kurakhove direction, where Russian forces have advanced and continue to build on their success. After prolonged battles, they managed to capture the village of Rozlyv, advancing 2 kilometers 400 meters. They are now actively trying to storm Konstantinopol in an attempt to fully take control of the village, as its outskirts are already in the gray zone. At the same time, they are pushing toward the village of Kurakhove through the fields with continuous heavy shelling. Geolocation data shows that Russian forces have advanced not only within the village, but have also seized positions in the fields. And a large part of Constantinople is now in the gray zone, meaning the situation continues to gradually deteriorate. Heavy activity also continues in the direction of Velyka Novosilka. Fighting has resumed for Dnipro with the Ukrainian Armed Forces attempting to push back Russian forces, but so far without success. At the same time, the Russians are launching assaults in the areas of Burlatske and Vilne Pole, pushing toward Novopil, with battles are going near Novosilka. Intense shelling remains constant, and the Ukrainian forces have released footage showing Russian troops hitting landmines while attempting to storm Ukrainian positions. As a result, Russian losses continue to mount, but there have been no territorial gains along the front line. In the Zaporizhzhia direction, Russian forces are storming Novodanilivka, but overall activity has decreased again. The Russians appear to be amassing another wave of meat assaults, but for now, no changes have been recorded. Over the past day, all attacks have been successfully repelled. In the Kherson direction, the Russians continue their attempts to break through on the islands near the Antonivsky Bridge. They're also carrying out heavy shelling, but no territorial changes have been recorded in the past day. For now, all attacks are being successfully repelled. And now moving to the Pokrovsk direction, which remains the most active. Late last night, Pokrovsk and the frontline areas were once again heavily bombarded, most likely with glide bombs. The city is being systematically destroyed, and with each passing day, the situation worsens. Meanwhile, the Russians continue the assaults near Udachne and Kotline, storming Zelene, Lysivka, the village of Promень, Malinivka and Yelizavetivka, while also attempting breakthroughs across the fields near the highway. However, despite their high activity, Russia has failed to achieve any territorial gains. This marks a significant success for the Ukrainian armed forces, particularly under the command of General Drapati. Many will recall how the front line was crumbling before his arrival, but since then the situation has stabilized. In the Toretsk direction, the Russians continue their attempts to reclaim lost positions in Sherbenivka, and fighting in the central part of Toretsk remains ongoing. However, no significant changes have been recorded on the front line. The battle has turned into positional engagements with neither side achieving substantial gains. Earlier today, the Ukrainian forces managed to push Russian forces back from Sherbenivka, but progress has still since stalled due to the high concentration of Russian troops in the area, making further advances difficult. Further south, Russian forces captured Pantelemonivka, marking a tactical success for them. They are also shelling Alexandropol and preparing for another assault on the settlement. Previous battles in the area saw the Ukrainian forces successfully defending their positions, but Russian forces appear to be regrouping for renewed offensives. In the Chasiv Yar direction, activity remains minimal. Russian troops launched several assaults in the city's central part and near Pretechina, but all attacks were repelled by the Ukrainian forces, leaving the front line unchanged. In the Siversk direction, Russian forces are actively assaulting Bilohorivka and Serebryanka, attempting to break through from Ivadodarivka, while also conducting heavy shelling. However, no territorial changes have been recorded so far. The Ukrainian forces continue to repel all attacks, inflicting significant losses on Russian troops. In the Liman direction, the Russians are storming Zarichne, Kolodezi, Zelena Dolina, and Lepova, while also attempting to advance through the Serebryanka forest. The situation remains highly challenging, but no major breakthroughs have been achieved by Russian forces. The Ukrainian forces maintain defensive positions, holding back the assaults. In the Borova direction, Russian forces continue attacks on Bogoslavka and Novakruglякivka, while also attempting to break through near Raigorodka. However, the overall activity level remains low, and all Russian assaults have been successfully repelled. The Ukrainian forces haven't launched counterattacks in this sector. South of Borova, Russian forces have shown no activity, and the front line remains unchanged over the past day. In the Kupiansk direction, Russian troops are storming Petropavlivka and trying to advance from Peshane and Stepova Novoselivka. However, there have been no territorial changes in the past 24 hours. The Russians still fail to straighten the front line and move toward the encirclement of Kupiansk. The Ukrainian forces continue to successfully repel all assaults, disrupting Russian plans in the area. Now let's move on to the situation at the border. In the Kharkiv direction, shelling continues without any offensive actions, while in Vovchansk, fighting has resumed, although the Russians haven't achieved any success there. In the Belgorod direction, the Russians are destroying and simply leveling all the border settlements in the Sumy region, so far we see that the attack on Russian territory has led to a major problems for the Ukrainian side. However, these shelling attacks are most likely related to Russia's statement that the Ukrainian forces have moved 6,000 soldiers here and plan to advance into Belgorod region. This is why the Russians are trying to destroy them. There is no official information yet, and the Ukrainian forces haven't launched new attacks, so we are waiting. In the Kursk direction, attacks continue. The Russians conducted 27 assaults over the past day. However, they haven't yet been able to fully clear Russian territory, and there have been no reports of significant changes within the day. Meanwhile, Zelensky commented on the situation regarding the agreement on minerals and confirmed that there is no provision about Ukraine's NATO membership in it.
As for this agreement and the NATO issue, NATO is not and was not part of this agreement. Regarding the European Union, do we associate it with that? Yes, we do. And of course, when we talk about this agreement, it cannot contradict our future EU membership, not just our desire, but our future. Therefore, it's very important that this cannot be a separate document, and nothing should contradict that.
Overall, friends, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. And that's all from me, so please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.